I've tried every push-pull legs variation out there. I've done the classic 3 days per week, where you do it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've done the 6-day variation, where you're doing push-pull legs, rest. I've done a 4-day rotation, training on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, rotating through push-pull legs. I've even done 2 days on, 1 day off, repeat. But after years of experimenting both on myself and with clients, there's one setup that consistently builds more muscle mass and faster than any other. And that is, in my opinion, the 5-day push-pull leg split. And if you have 5 days per week to commit to training and you want full body growth, as much muscle mass everywhere, this is, in my opinion, the best way to structure your push-pull leg split. Let's break it down. But first, what is a push-pull leg split? PPL divides your body into 3 training sessions. Push day, which is generally the chest, the shoulders, and the triceps. Pull day, which is generally the back and biceps, but also can incorporate the traps and rear delts. Leg day is your entire lower body, your quads, glutes, hamstrings, calves. Now, normally in the 6-day variation, each body part gets trained twice per week. But training 6 days straight for the sake of hitting everything twice in a week is just overkill, especially if you train very hard. But twice per week frequency per body part is definitely a great way to train. So the question is, how do we keep that twice weekly frequency but allowing for enough recovery time? That's where the 5-day per week comes in. We're gonna keep a traditional push-pull leg split, but we're also gonna modify one of those pull sessions and now make it a full body pull session. This is gonna be your entire upper back pulling work, but also hamstrings and hip hinge exercises. This allows you to keep that twice weekly frequency for most body parts, but by combining that pull day, you're getting an extra rest day for recovery, all without sacrificing any quality training work. Let me break down the exact 5-day per week push-pull leg structure. Day 1, we're gonna do push workout number 1, which is gonna be chest specific. Day 2, we're gonna do pull session 1, which is gonna be a bit more lat specific. Day 3, we're gonna hit legs, and this one is gonna be a quad specific lower body session. Day 4, we're gonna take off and completely rest here. Day 5, we're gonna do another push session. This second one is gonna be shoulder focused. Day 6, we're gonna do the second pull session, but this one is gonna be a full body pull session. That's gonna be back, biceps, traps, rear delts, and hamstrings and the entire posterior chain. Day 7, we're gonna take off completely to rest. That gives us 5 training days and 2 rest days for recovery. This setup works really well because it gives you the recovery when you need it the most, between those heavy sessions. It also ensures that you're still hitting each body part twice per week. Now let's break down each individual session. Let's start with day 1, push 1, which is chest focused. This day is gonna prioritize the chest, but it's still gonna hit the shoulders and triceps. Exercise 1 is gonna be your heavy compound flat press movement. That would be a barbell bench press, a dumbbell bench press, or even a good machine press. 2 to 3 working sets here, just 6 to 9 reps, with no more than 1 to 2 reps in reserve. This exercise is gonna be your bread and butter mass builder, and it's gonna work the entire pec. Second exercise is gonna be your compound incline press. We're gonna focus on the upper chest specifically. That would be an incline barbell press, an incline dumbbell press, or again, a good incline machine press. Same thing here, we're gonna do 2 to 3 working sets, but the rep range is gonna be a bit higher at 8 to 10 reps. After those 2 exercises, your pec should already be cooked. Third, we're gonna move on to a lateral raise exercise for the side delts. No compound shoulder movement here for direct work of the delts, as we do have a shoulder specialized push day later in the week. And heavy flat presses and incline presses also work the front delts very well. So for this third exercise, you're gonna do a dumbbell lateral raise, a chest supported lateral raise, or even a cable or machine lateral raise. Pick whichever exercise you connect with the best. The goal here is a massive pump. We're gonna do 2 to 3 sets here, but we're gonna do 15 to 20 repetitions. Perform these for as many clean reps as you can do. Don't worry about reps in reserve here. After that, we're gonna move on to our first direct tricep exercise for the day. And that is gonna be a cable tricep press now. For this, I like the V-bar, the straight bar, or the rope attachment. We're gonna do 2 to 3 reps here. Again, we're gonna do 15 to 20 repetitions. The goal is a massive pump in the triceps. We're doing this because we want a lot of blood flow and we want a lot of lubrication to those elbow and joints. We're setting our triceps up for a heavy mass building exercise next. And that is our 5th exercise for the day. Easy bar skull crushers. If you prefer, you can do these with a straight bar or some dumbbells. But in my opinion, the easy bar skull crusher is the king of tricep mass builders. For this exercise, we're gonna do 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 10 reps. The key here is we do this after our elbows are already warm. That's it for workout number 1. The chest, the shoulders, and the triceps are completely destroyed after just 10 to 12 working sets. Let's come back in the next day for day 2, which is pull workout 1, lat focus training. Due to the fact that this is a lat specific day, we're gonna rely heavily on some vertical pulling movements, but we're gonna incorporate some lat specific rows as well. First exercise is gonna be a lat pull down with an underhand or a neutral grip, or a chin up. If you want to take this a step further and make it extremely lat specific, go with a single arm lat pull down. We're gonna do 2 to 3 sets here again, but we're gonna do 12 to 15 reps. The reason we're gonna go a bit higher on this exercise is we wanna keep it lat specific and we wanna keep that technique clean. I can easily load a ton of weight on the bar and pull down a single lat pull down, but just moving that weight from point A to point B is actually gonna take a bit of tension off the lats, and I'm gonna use some other assistance muscles in the back, the biceps and the rear delts to move that weight. So keep your rep range moderate here and focus on technique and pulling with the lats. Second movement here, we're gonna do a row variation. Again, that's specific to the lats. To do that, we want those elbows tucked in and we wanna drive those elbows back. A single arm machine row here or a close grip on a seated cable row works great as well. We're gonna do 2 to 3 sets here again. Again, 12 to 15 reps. Drive those elbows back. Use the lats. That's it for our direct lat work for the day so far. But next we're gonna move on to some rear delt specific exercises. For this, a reverse pec deck works very well. Face pulls work great, or a super wide grip rear delt pull down. We're just gonna do 2 sets here. Those rear delts already got plenty of work. We're just finishing them off. We wanna fill them with as much blood as possible for the rest of the session. So we're going 15 to 20 reps here. After that, we're moving on to biceps. And we're gonna start with a basic mass building movement for those biceps. So that would be barbell curls or dumbbell curls. We're gonna do 2 to 3 sets here, 8 to 10 repetitions. Treat this as your mass building bicep movement. Next exercise we're gonna do for the biceps after we've already loaded them heavily with the first movement, we're gonna focus on exercises that fully stretch the biceps. That would be a single arm stretch curl with a cable or an inclined dumbbell curl. 2 to 3 sets here, 12 to 15 repetitions as we're aiming for a massive pump here. That's it for this session. 4 to 6 total working sets for the lats, 2 direct sets for the rear delts, and 4 to 6 direct working sets for the biceps. If you do this correctly, your lats, rear delts, and biceps should be fully pumped. Day 3, we're gonna come back in the gym and we're gonna do lower body leg day, but this is a quad focused leg day. First exercise, we're gonna start with a heavy squat pattern variation. That can be a barbell squat, a pendulum squat, a belt squat, or a hack squat. 2 to 3 working sets here, 6 to 9 repetitions. Focus on weight, strength, progression. This is your mass building movement for the quads. Next, we're gonna move on to a leg press variation. But again, we wanna keep this quad focused as this is a quad specific session, so we wanna go with a lower foot stance. 2 to 3 sets here, a bit higher rep, we're gonna go 10 to 12 reps here. This is not so much about weight, it's more about range of motion, again, biasing those quads. Third, we're gonna do one more exercise for the quads here. One that gives you a massive pump. And that is some high repetition leg extensions. Just 2 working sets here, as the quads have already gotten heavy work done. We're just gonna finish them off by drawing as much blood into the muscle as possible. So we're gonna do 12 to 15 repetitions here. The last exercise in this session, we're gonna move on to lying leg curls. While the hamstrings have gotten some indirect work on these other compound lifts, we haven't targeted them specifically yet, so one exercise here to make this a complete lower body session is ideal. Just 2 sets here, 12 to 15 repetitions, let's get some blood into the hamstrings, and then we're gonna train them much more directly later in the week. Now, the next thing you could add to this day is completely optional, and that is calf work. Calf training is extremely individual, and you can add as much or as little as you want here. But otherwise, you're only looking at 8 to 10 working sets on this leg session. But if you do it correctly, your legs should be fried after this workout. Day 4, we're gonna take off completely to rest and recover. Do not skip this rest day. The idea here is to take this day to recover before finishing the rest of the split off strong for the rest of the week. Rest days are part of the program. Don't skip them. Day 5, we're gonna come back in and we're gonna do a shoulder focused push session. Again, this session will prioritize the delts, but also still work the pecs and the triceps. First movement, we're gonna start off with a heavy shoulder press. Barbell, dumbbell, or a good machine works here. 2 to 3 sets, 5 to 9 repetitions, focusing on a mass building exercise. Second exercise, we're gonna focus on a tricep focused press. That could be a close grip bench press, whether it's a free weight or a Smith machine variation, or something like a dip or machine dip. This is gonna heavily target the triceps in a compound movement, but it's also gonna hammer those pecs and those front delts. 2 to 3 sets here, again in that mass building 5 to 9 rep range. Third exercise is gonna be one that targets the pecs specifically. We've done compound pressing for the shoulders, we've done compound pressing for the triceps, and we've already done compound pressing for the pecs earlier in the week. So this movement is completely an isolation exercise. Cable fly here, pec deck, or dumbbell flies work great. We're just gonna do 2 working sets here. Again, we wanna pump as much blood into the muscle today as possible, since we already did heavy work earlier in the week. So we're gonna do 12 to 15 repetitions. Next exercise, we're gonna move on to lateral raises, because again, we don't really get too much direct work to those side delts with those compound movements, so we do want to isolate it as well. I don't care which lateral raise you use here, just use a different variation than you did in the first session. 2 sets here, 12 to 15 repetitions, leave no clean reps in the tank. Next, we're going to move on to an isolation exercise for the triceps, but we're going to do an overhead variation here. This is going to maximize the stretch. That would be a dumbbell overhead tricep extension, an easy bar overhead tricep extension, or a cable or machine works. We're going to do 3 sets here, 10 to 12 repetitions, and then we're done with this workout. That's all of our push work for the week done. 2 sessions done for chest, shoulders, and triceps for the week. We got 1 more session the next day, which is day 6, and that is our full body pull session. We're gonna hit the entire back, traps, rear delts, biceps, hamstrings, and entire posterior chain. But we're not gonna do a ton of exercises here. We're gonna pick them very strategically. First exercise we're gonna do is a chest supported row variation. We're gonna purposely row with a technique that targets the upper back rather than the lat specifically. So whatever row variation we pick here, we wanna keep those elbows flared out more. We're gonna do 2 to 3 sets, 5 to 9 repetitions here. After we've targeted upper back a bit, we're gonna shift things over to the hamstrings. Again, this is a full body pull session. We wanna pump those hamstrings up before we get into the heavy hip hinge movement for the week. So we're gonna start off with 2 to 3 sets here of 10 to 12 repetitions on the seated hamstring curl. After those 2 exercises, your entire back, biceps, and hamstrings should be fully pumped. But now that we're super warm, we're gonna go into a heavy mass building exercise for the entire back. Not the lat specifically, not the upper back specifically, but the entire back thickness. And that is the basic barbell row. 2 to 3 sets here, 8 to 10 repetitions. You're training the entire back. Once we complete that exercise, our body's completely warm for anything we're gonna throw at it. That's where we're gonna go into a heavy hip hinge variation. That could be your Romanian deadlift, your stiff leg deadlift, or a traditional conventional deadlift, even a trap bar deadlift. Make sure you're picking the one that's appropriate for your goals. If you need more quad involvement, throw in the trap bar. If you want more hamstrings, go with a stiff leg. If you want more glutes and hamstrings, go with a RDL. If you just love deadlifting, go with a conventional deadlift. My personal opinion, they're really not a great exercise to include here, but you have the option to do so. Whatever hip hinge variation you pick, we're gonna go with 2 to 3 sets of 5 to 9 repetitions here. This is our mass building hip hinge. After that, our entire body has been through a lot of heavy work today. But we wanna touch up on just some exercises and body parts that might not have been fully maximized in this session. That is the traps and the biceps and brachialis. So we're gonna hit some shrugs and we're gonna hit some hammer curls. You have the option of doing these in superset fashion if you wanna speed up on time, or you can do them individually. But you're gonna pick a good shrug variation here that you're comfortable with. The bar is already loaded from your hip hinges, so you're right in front of a barbell. Or you can grab dumbbells or use a good machine. We're gonna do 2 sets for each of these body parts. So 2 sets on shrugs, 2 sets on hammer curls. We're gonna do 12 to 15 repetitions. Just wanna get as much blood in the muscle as possible before exiting this session. After that, that is it for this session and the entire training week. This is definitely one of the toughest sessions throughout the week, but it's definitely crucial for full body development. Now, day 7, you're gonna rest completely before restarting this. Again, this is essential in helping you recover and build more muscle. Don't skip this day. So let's wrap this up. The reason I really like the 5-day push-pull leg split, it keeps the training frequency at roughly twice per week per body part while still prioritizing recovery. Something that you can't do with a 6-day split. It gives you plenty of recovery in between the hardest sessions. And the exercises within this split are structured for maximum efficiency, not just with time, but also muscle growth. And if you're serious about growing more muscle using proven old school bodybuilding methods, and you wanna learn more about this specific split, including how to customize it even further for your goals, as well as other frequencies that might match your preferences and your lifestyle, you can check that out as well as all my other mass building programs inside my old school mass gain system, which you can find down below. And as always, if you wanna see more of the best original bodybuilding content just like this, make sure to hit subscribe.